Sean Karen.
And this is Jeremy Leigh.
And tonight we have an old friend of mine in studio, Leigh Hawes. He is a former running candidate for senator.
U.S. Senator.
U.S. Senator.
Yep.
Let's talk about, because you do have a little bit of an interesting start on how you got into doing what you were doing. So let's talk about what geared you into your write-in campaign that started your initial start in politics.
That would be 2014. Mike Michoud had vacated his seat to run against Paul LePage for governor. So, and you know, as a truck driver, I was listening to shows like Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, and Mike in the morning, and so on and so forth, and just hearing a lot of the things that these guys were talking about, especially with the Obama administration in full swing, it just started really hitting me home. And with especially the Glenn Beck show, there basically said, you know, if you're not willing to pick up the sword and shield to defend the country, who is? And that was pretty much the biggest inspiration that I had. Came home, of course, we had just suffered a catastrophic loss.
Yeah, you had a house fire.
Yeah, the house burnt down. Not really sure 100% how it happened. The fire marshal looked at it, did determine it as accidental, and here I am. We're living in this very small emergency trailer. It's a FEMA. It's a FEMA trailer.
I was gonna say like a FEMA.
It was a FEMA trailer. And of course, it was me, my wife, my two daughters, and a friend of theirs who begged us to live with us so he didn't have to switch high schools for their senior year.
Okay.
I'm a nice guy. As long as you pull your own weight, I don't have an issue with it. So we're in this tiny little 12 by 60 foot 4-bedroom trailer, and I'm talking tiny. I mean, I think the bedroom was about as big as this table.
Okay.
Wow.
So it was 3 bedrooms, excuse me. Yeah, it was a 3-bedroom. And 2 bedrooms on one and a master on the other. And I come home after a midnight run delivering product, and I looked at my wife. It's like, you're going to shoot me. She's like, now what'd you do? It's not what I did. It's what I'm going to do. She's like, what's that? I'm going to run for U.S. Congress as a write-in candidate. It's like Margaret Chase Smith did it in 1940. We need to do it again. So this is where, and I just started, putting a lot of things on Facebook. I opened a Twitter account back before Twitter went, by way of the dodo board.
Yeah.
And just really started hammering, especially, things that Mike Michoud had voted for. But then again, Mike Michoud wasn't running. So, like I said, where it was a vacant seat, if I was going to have a shot, this would have been it.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So, and of course, when it came to the general election, I had, I declared myself as a write-in candidate and filed the paperwork with the state. But that means my name is not on the ballot. But people don't have, when it comes to a write-in candidacy, you have 2 different categories.
This is a hard thing to do. I remember when we were talking about it, I looked up. There's not very many candidates that have won a write-in candidates.
Margaret Chase Smith in 1940 was the only
Okay, I was going to say, I thought that there was 2, but
nope.
Okay, because I remember it's been a while since I had this discussion.
He could have been the second.
I could have been the second.
I think
Maybe
that's
why you thought it was 2.
That's probably what the discussion was we had.
I mean, if I could have got myself out more, but when you're driving truck for 12, 14 hours a day, you really don't have a lot of time to go and mingle with people. Went to 2 or 3 gun shows in the area, dressed the part, handing out palm cards, handing out, regular cards, got a number of people, especially in the truck driving community. A lot of people liked what I was, trying to push, which was, trying to cut back on a lot of the truck driving regulations that we were under at that point in time.
Well, that's it. That's one thing that I've noticed from a lot of my friends that are in the industry is a lot of the regulations that are pushed onto you guys.
Yeah,
and they're pushed for safety of the drivers, of people on the road.
That's the excuse, but there's no correlation.
Of course. Yeah, I get that. It's government.
It's government because they say they do all these studies, but who's doing the studies?
Right.
I mean, they're not asking your average truck driver. They're going to.
It's the unions.
They're polling their group.
Yeah.
Right, the lobbyists.
So
it's like that.
It's no different than like what the mainstream media does.
Right.
They're going to pull from their base.
Yep. And it's like, when you hear all these, the polls show that so-and-so is going to win. Well, they're asking the same 1,000 people over and over and over again.
Right.
What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing and expecting different results.
Exactly. So then let's how do you feel that you did with the doing the write-in candidacy?
Personally, for what I had into it. Now, of course, it takes money to do any campaign.
Absolutely.
It doesn't
Absolutely.
matter. Well, I shouldn't say it takes money. It takes one of two things. Either you have the money to do the campaign, or you've got the people.
Or the
Right.
name recognition,
The people is like the hardest one. Though.
Yeah, to get even though I had a lot of people say, yeah, I'll vote for you. It's like, I appreciate your vote, but I need your help.
Mm-hmm.
I need people. I don't
Boots on the ground.
Yep, I need you to talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, and it's no different this time than it is back then. But even then, at the general election, I was still able for a no name, no money write-in candidate.
You were a Republican for this one, correct?
I was running as a write-in Republican,
Write-in Republican, okay.
which was unheard of.
Right. That was another thing.
And that was when Bruce Poliquin ran the first time.
First time, and he won.
Well, there's a reason why I'm bringing this up.
So I ran as a write-in Republican. I scored 575 votes.
Wow.
On a general.
That's impressive.
And the only reason I was able to count that many is because I actually went through the numbers myself. Because
a
lot of the towns would not publish my numbers because it was like 2, 3,
right.
So many, so
I get
forth.
that.
I had like 15 out of Bangor.
Okay.
Which I never even went to Bangor. That was just by word of mouth.
Wow.
So,
word of mouth is important.
It is.
It's powerful.
Yeah. So.
And it is, and we've seen in the last couple of days a move back towards being able to broadcast your voice with the purchase of Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
we'll get
potentially.
into potentially
We'll
get to that. But so you finished up on campaigning.
Yep.
What kind of feedback did you get from people out in the community afterwards? What was the sentiment value of everything that you learned with it all?
It's kind of hard to say because a lot of people are sitting there saying, "Oh, why did you put yourself through that?" And it's like, well, I kind of had to.
Because this was before like ranked choice voting too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you must have been
No.
criticized for essentially splitting the vote.
Yes, I was. A lot of the people in the GOP, especially when I went to the GOP office in Skowhegan, they're saying you're going to get rid of, you're going to make us lose. It's like, this is the process. This is my right as an American. Whether or not you want Bruce Poliquin or not. I don't know who Bruce Poliquin was at the time. I had no idea what kind of person he was, whether he was a good person or a bad. I just didn't know, but I knew what I had to do.
Yep.
And that's where that's where everyone needs to be at. Do you want to go along to get along, or do you need to make waves? And I decided to make waves.
Yeah, sometimes everyone sometimes gets that gut feeling
Yep, and
that they have to do something.
And that's what it was. I'm sitting there, and it's like it hit me dead center in my chest as I'm coming. I'm traveling northbound 95, just south of Austin, and of course, if you've ever been through these roads at 7 o'clock in the morning, it's a madness. And I'm listening to Glenn Beck, and all of a sudden, it's like, this is what I have to do. And it was too late for me to put in my name for a regular to be on the ballot for a Republican.
Right.
By the time this hit me, and it's
because you'd have to go through the caucus or primary.
and that was already done.
Yeah.
I mean, those votes were. Bruce Poliquin already had that wrapped up. So me even trying to get those signatures on a ballot application was, I didn't have the time and I didn't have the resources.
Yep.
So my best thing at that time was to be a write-in Republican.
That's impressive for a write-in Republican. 500 votes.
500 plus votes. I mean, and I had to cut. Basically it was all mathematics. I even went to my hometown secretary, and it's like, how many votes did I get? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I don't know. I didn't count you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
And that just goes to show how much government really cares about the people,
right?
Or doesn't.
And that I think played a little bit of role into your next venture that you stepped into.
That was a two-part.
Okay.
Basically, my first part, I went to the Republican caucus, signed everybody's paperwork there in Skowhegan. Of course, Susan Collins had a representative there, and everyone wasn't too happy, especially with her kind of standing against Donald Trump at that time, when everything he was trying to do.
Was this the impeachment? Or
this is prior to the impeachment.
Okay, so this would have been when the GOP was picking him as the nominee then.
Well, let's see, that would be 2 years ago. It was halfway through his term, so he hasn't. He was, it was still some of the things because she wasn't really backing him on his.
It must have been the impeachment then.
Yeah, probably. I just know that.
Because he was impeached twice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because she
said
first time did she stand for the did she support the first one? I don't remember, but I know she did support one of them.
She supported the first one, the first impeachment because of.
So it may have been both.
It may have been, but of course the second factor was ranked choice voting.
Yes.
And one of the reasons why I ran, I was at the caucus. I said, you know what, I'm going to fall on my sword. I am going to run for U.S. Senate as an independent. And everybody's like, why? I was like, to show the fallacy of ranked choice voting.
So that was the election that Max Lynn ran as well, right?
He
and
tried.
Linda Savage.
Yeah. Yep.
It was, yep.
Okay, yeah. Because I voted for him in that election.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I did not vote for Susan Collins.
So this was a weird time too for campaigning, because we were going into COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had COVID.
Well, we start, because my first actual campaign event, once I got my paperwork, was that gun show up in the Bangor area.
Yeah, I was up at that gun show that day too.
Yep.
Yeah, I do remember that.
It was me and Linda Wooten, and of course I surprised Linda.
Yeah, I was doing. I was ranked choice voting.
He was doing
petitions.
ranked choice petitions at the time.
That is right. Yep.
And I had my table, and of course Linda looked me up on social media when she found out that I was running.
Yeah, that's where I met Linda for the first time, I believe. Yeah,
and
it was. It was in Bangor, no doubt. That's long time ago.
Of course, if you look at my social media right now, you're going to see my profile picture is not me, obviously. It is the assassin from Assassin's Creed.
Okay. I was gonna say, because I know you have the one that has the hyphen of your middle name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got two accounts. I had to create two accounts because Facebook and their all
mightiness,
almightiness, would not allow me to run my Facebook page, Leigh Hawes for U.S. Senate, because to them I'm not a real person.
Okay.
Right, you have to verify.
Right.
I have gone through their verification process so many times it's not even funny.
I remember trying to help you with this too, and he really had a hard time with it.
Yeah, sending my license. I took pictures of my license, did pictures of my passport, my digital passport, sent them that.
Wow.
But because I was never an official candidate, because I didn't complete that process.
Because it didn't show up in
and the FEC stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So because
that makes sense.
Yep, because I couldn't
do
that.
But it makes sense.
It's stupid. So I cannot be Leigh Hawes for U.S. Senate as a person as far as Facebook. So I cannot push and promote anything that I do on my Facebook page. It's just whoever sees it, sees it.
You have to run it as a public person,
right?
I believe.
Yeah, it's a public profile. So I created a second Facebook account for the Senate run.
Yeah, so this is your Senate run, right?
No.
Leigh Hawes for
U.S. Senate?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah, because you talk about being on our podcast.
Yep.
That is it.
I actually on both my personal and my public.
Yeah, this is, I believe, you're a public figure.
Yeah, this is the public figure one.
Right. Yep. So.
But so you started the campaigning as a independent on this one.
I went all fully independent because that was the only way that I was going to get on the ballot, because they already, Susan Collins was already roped in. She was going again. There was no way another Republican was going to get on that ballot.
Yeah, we actually interviewed someone that tried.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The last time around, Derek.
Yep. And Levasseur, and of course they just burned.
They got to him.
They burned him alive for very little, And I actually met Derek a couple of times and talked to him personally.
Derek's a nice guy. I mean,
he has some baggage.
Of
I
course,
will admit.
We all do.
Right.
Even
so it was easy for them to.
Yeah, but this is the thing too. A lot of the stuff that he was accused for, it was dismissed, and that's what a lot of the mainstream media never stepped in and let anyone know that.
They don't care.
They just crucified.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't.
It's all the establishment,
of course.
So, we should say, mainstream media was used by the GOP at that time to take Derek off the table.
Absolutely, yeah. We've heard horror stories. What they put him through.
Yeah. So.
I mean, they actually went through a number of people in his campaign saying, if you work, you'll never work for the GOP again. I mean, that was actually published.
Yeah, that was an interesting time. I'll say that.
That's an excellent choice of words. Interesting. You're softballing
I think
it.
He's censoring.
Extremely.
You're softballing it.
Now, I'm not a Republican, so I don't have to softball it, but
I gotta approach things from both sides because
I understand. Of course, during the campaign, Sean.
I only do it for the podcast's sake of trying to keep.
You're a party guy anyway.
Yes,
Come on.
Everyone knows that. Like I said, I am loyal to my faults, and if a lot of people know that,
I'm loyal to the principles, not to a party.
I was.
I'm not even loyal
but
to the
that's
Libertarian
changed.
Party.
Because
the Libertarians have changed
but like I said-
drastically. So
I'm a Libertarian. So.
well, see, this is the thing. I wasn't a party guy until Donald Trump got elected, and that's when I became.
Used to be a Democrat, though.
yeah. Oh well.
But I loved what he stood for. I mean,
The removal of bump stocks.
that I did not like.
All right.
No,
I'll
yeah,
stop
don't
giving
get me
crap.
wrong.
I didn't vote for him in
there
either
are,
election.
See, this is the part that people don't understand. Yes, I may be a Republican, but I do disagree with Donald Trump, and
Right.
there are places I do.
Right.
And like I said, I'm loyal to a fault.
I mean, Donald Trump can only do what he's advised about. So when he gets bad advice and acts upon it, we blame
Right.
Donald Trump. We don't
Right.
blame the person that said,
Because
hey,
I blame it all.
it's
I blame
just
the
like-
government.
It's just like Susan Collins. I voted for her, but I don't believe that she was right for trying to push some of the red flag laws.
no, definitely not.
Well, they were a little different, but they were still red flag
All
laws.
red flag laws
That's
are
my
bad.
point.
Yeah.
The media tried to say that there was a difference
There
in
isn't.
how they tried to frame it. It depends
They
on
just like them. The
it's
media
the
likes
PR
her
of it. Yeah,
moreover than maybe a more radicalized Republican.
right. It was definitely the PR of it. But so yeah, we were coming into COVID
Yep.
during this time,
and of course, we got that first event done. I think we did like 400 signatures.
I was gonna say you guys were boogieing
Yeah, I mean, we were busy.
because Linda Wooten was doing pretty well too.
She was doing just as well as I was. I mean, and of course, I was having people come up to me. I mean, I had one guy. I actually had a 20-minute conversation in Bangor about he was pro ranked choice, and I was, well, not so much pro ranked choice.
Right.
And I was giving him, because I am older than he. He was probably a little bit younger than Sean. College kid.
Yep.
And he's like, ranked choice, he's going to give us the most. Like, you really got to understand how ranked choice works in reality. In theory, it's an awesome system.
Right.
Right. But it doesn't.
It doesn't
work that way.
No.
And as a libertarian, I would like to find a solution. Obviously, ranked choice voting is not one of them.
No.
But,
No, I agree with you. To a point.
But something that's not the old status quo, but something that's also not ranked choice voting.
Right.
I mean, we got to make things.
Because even coming to, the plurality of the majority, we rarely ever reach it.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, if you don't get that plurality, that's what ranked choice voting was supposed to fix.
Yeah.
And like I
But
kept,
did it?
I told people, if you want ranked choice voting to work, then you've got to get a true majority to vote.
Well, see,
in the
that's
first place.
that's
Right.
the thing.
That's, yeah.
We had a lot of pushback, and Eric Brakey brought this up. It's here to stay.
Well, right. So we
might
gotta
as well
learn
use it.
the rules.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Leigh was definitely one of the front runners on talking about this issue.
They're basically trying to show people this is what is going to happen with ranked choice voting. I got a couple of friends that are really heavy into politics, and we discuss this quite often. And one of the solutions that this little brainstorm session is blind candidate solution to ranked choice. Use ranked choice, but you don't know who the candidates are.
Oh, so you just vote based on the policies?
Based on the policies and the politics. Basically, the candidate answers a questionnaire, then you go in and you answer a questionnaire, and whoever lines up the best with your answers, there's candidate one. And,
Right.
of course, candidate one will have a number.
Yep.
And then candidate two will have a number. Candidate three will have a
interesting.
number. And so forth. So when you rank them, okay, I like this candidate because he answers the way I think. Boom, 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 boom.
It's almost like a game show at that point.
Almost, yeah. I mean, it's like, matchmaker or whatever.
Right.
The Bachelor.
It's
The
like
Bachelor.
for-
It's Tinder for politics.
Right,
Basically.
but looking at the issue side,
It's kind of
could
intriguing.
work. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the idea, but
when you take out the personality,
Right.
You take
And the
out,
party.
well, that's the big.
and that's another thing because everybody, whoever wants to run, runs regardless of party.
Right, yeah.
So
I agree.
So
Yeah.
that way you don't have the GOP saying we want this person. You
Right.
don't have the
You're going to
Democrats saying we
split
want this
the
person.
vote.
Yeah.
You're going to be...
It's all
you're gonna
ranked
be a
choice. There is no-
spoiler.
Since it's ranked choice, there is no splitting the vote. There is nothing of that matter. And as long as everybody is on an equal footing as far as candidates concerned, it doesn't matter if you're a multimillionaire or you're a guy with only $5 in his pocket.
Right.
So as long as the people like what the politics are, your positions on certain things, you're going to get the vote. And of course, they might be mad as hell.
Once they find out who it
you are.
is.
It's like, I didn't want him. It's like, well, your politics and my politics pretty much match. So why
Right.
wouldn't you want me?
Right, exactly.
So I mean,
That's an interesting way to look at it. For sure.
This is an American Idol. Come on.
Right. Well, see, yes, and one other big thing that was a huge disservice that happened to you guys that were campaigning as independents too is you guys lost time to collect signatures.
Well, she shut us down completely because she said everybody had to stay inside, no more public events.
Yep.
I mean, and granted, I could have gone out and
I was gonna say there was like 2. If you were able to hit those 2 gun shows, you probably would have got what you needed.
Oh yeah, I mean there was like 2 or 3 gun shows. There was one in Augusta, and there was another one. I think it was Thompson.
Was it loose?
Yeah, it may have been the Lewiston show because
think
we
it was
did go to
Lewiston.
the Thompson show.
Yeah, we did it. That one was outside, right?
That was an outside show.
That was an outside show.
Back
That's
when
right.
And with the
Curtis
Augusta,
Ayotte was there with Alan.
Yep. And I met Curtis and Alan for the first time. And there again, I wish Alan did such a good job for District 1, although I kind of had a feeling he would not win because of who he's running against.
Yeah, I don't foresee Shelley Fingre being beat.
He's a smart guy. I mean, I liked what he stood for.
That was the doctor, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Dr. J. Allen, United States
Allen,
Military, Army doctor.
Yep.
So
I never met him.
Curtis helped with his campaign a little bit. So
I mean, and that's another thing is, even when my last 2 years ago campaign, it was just me. And
how many days do you remember? How many days were lost? Was it 30 or was
almost
it
60?
Okay, I was gonna say I thought it was a little more than 30 days.
Yeah, she shut us down for almost 2 months, and then when it was getting time for us to turn our signatures, of course we started really
making a fuss.
Making
I
a fuss.
remember that.
We didn't have the time. There's no way we can get the 4,000 signatures we need as an independent.
Well, see,
Right.
that's what we've brought up on other shows is the discrepancy in how many signatures have to be collected from a Democrat and a Republican
versus independent.
Well, and of course, the state's way of thinking is you're independent. You can gather signatures from anybody.
And that was the other spot that we looked at. But in all reality, is that really fair?
No, it's not. It's not.
Well, it's not easy. It's not as easy because you can't get any from Republicans.
Yes, you can.
Or You can?
Oh yeah.
I thought you had to be from independent.
No.
You can
Anybody.
go anyone.
It doesn't. Green Party, independent. It doesn't matter.
That's their reasoning for making it more.
Double. Yeah. Because
I think.
And the thing is, the state does not have a rule. If you sign for one,
Well, you can sign for all of
you
them.
can sign
Right.
for all of them. If you want to sit there and sign everybody's paper that comes in front of you, you can.
The difference is you have to pay people to go out and actually get the petitions
As an
and the
independent.
signatures.
As an independent. So, and of course, that's what, near the end of it, that's where, I went to Sean's boss and it's like, can you help? Paid him. He gave me almost 1,000 signatures, which still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And it was just
no
because
time.
we were coming right back into work on the RCV because we lost time being able to collect signatures for ranked choice voting too.
Right.
So, and I remember the hoops that they tried to make us jump through to try to collect signatures. I remember some woman put a phone in my face. Here I am sitting by myself. Like I was putting the mask on. This is like when COVID first came out. We knew nothing really about it. Here I am sitting by myself. She drives by, takes a video of me. I'm sitting by myself.
Should have waved. Hi.
Well, then she comes in and starts yelling at me
Where
about
were you?
it. I believe I was at Shelley Rednicki's car sales place gathering signatures for it.
Gotcha.
And she came over and stuck a phone in my face, and it's like, no one's around me. But yeah, they...
Well, I mean, you are now that you're walking
Right.
up to me.
And I kind of pushed back. I wish I would have approached the situation a little different.
But then again, like you said, it's a totally new experience. You had no idea what was going on. We had no idea what the dynamics of the situation were. Everybody was getting information from every source available, but yet nothing was actually 100% honest.
Right.
Nothing was
just
accurate.
everything, and it was how quick everything
Can't
was
wear a mask,
changing.
then you have to wear a mask.
Of course, when we were doing our, because we started going to the freedom rallies in Augusta.
Yeah.
And of course, we went to the first freedom, my wife and I went to the first freedom rally to get signatures. That was the bad day because the wind was blowing so hard. And when you got these 11 by 17 papers that you're,
the kites.
Yeah. I mean, we got maybe a dozen signatures that day. We just could not manage it.
Yeah.
And of course you have to manage each town.
Oh yeah.
So now you got a stack of papers this thick.
Yeah.
For all the towns.
It's hard. I was out during the wintertime trying to collect signatures for a gubernatorial campaign.
Yeah, trying to keep them papers dry, especially when it's raining too. It's not.
So we had.
It's a treat, to put it lightly.
We had her avalanche. We went out and bought a 10 by 10 pop up, canopy.
Yeah, I ended up getting one too for the ranked choice voting signatures. So.
Yep. So I had flags out. We had all our stuff out. I still have the 2020 Trump dollars that I bought.
I still have a few of those.
Yeah, I got like maybe 400 of those.
But
they
see,
weren't real
that's
money.
the thing is we learned that if you want somebody to come out and get to drive out and sign a petition, like even just giving them like that's what they were doing with the Trump signs. Even just giving them a yard sign, they would come out to sign it. I mean, Leigh was giving out American flag stickers, his pens, and a few other things. And I really do think it makes a difference. And
as long as somebody gets something out of it, then they feel it's worth their time.
We are having a hard enough time getting signatures going door to door.
Yep.
Oh, I believe it.
Yep. Because especially during COVID, and that's one thing I didn't want.
I remember you didn't. Yeah,
I didn't want to
go door to door.
I didn't want to go door to door because I didn't want to taint
Push it.
my name
Right.
by people considering me a threat
Right.
to their health.
Like we were saying, it was so new.
Yep. So I mean, talked about it's like I even made a joke on Facebook about remember Johnny Five from Short Circuit. I was going to go to Wish, get a bunch of the robot parts, and make myself a Johnny Five to actually go door to door with a little thing. It's like, please sign.
That would be funny.
It definitely probably would have worked out well. But yeah, that was a struggle and a half. Linda Wooten struggled.
Yep. Well, Linda kind of she's after all the stress she was going through, of course her health is really not that great.
That too. She
basically said, you know what, I'm done. Whatever help you guys can give Leigh, give it to Leigh. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
So how's your campaign going now?
Well, it's an off season, so I don't really. I'm not,
oh yes, because you're running.
I got 2 more years.
Yeah.
So I guess that what we should say is your campaign is still open.
It's still open. I still have my website up, which is Leigh Hawes for USSenate.com.
Still filing your FCC filings every 3 months.
Well, there again, I don't because I haven't made the threshold yet.
Oh, okay.
It's a $3,000 threshold.
I did not know that.
Yep. So anything under $3,000, I do not have to do a filing.
Okay.
But that's a $3,000 in donations and spending.
Okay.
Oh, right.
So right now,
Total though,
good
right?
things
So
to
you
know.
could do like $2,000 in donations and $900 in spending, and
still
you wouldn't need to file.
I wouldn't need to file.
But if you did $1,100 in spending, you would need to.
Yep.
Okay.
So I mean, and of course, when it comes to doing a statewide campaign, I'm going to be breaking that $3,000
Easy.
as long as
Once
I can get
it's around that time.
Yeah, but there again, I still get the donations in.
Yep.
It's like, of course, I use a program, a web service called Campaign Partner, which is one of the better ones. They're the ones
Is that supposed to be like a nation builder type thing?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's campaignpartner.com. So I go on there, they sign me up, they manage everything. So I'm using their website. So when I do my news events, putting on because I have. And it lets me track whoever goes to my website, how many people visit. I mean, right before because I used this for the 2014 election, and I started up for the 2022 election. I mean, the 2020 election. And in the 2014, as a write-in candidate, I had over 200 hits in one day.
Wow.
Just prior to the election, just to see who I was. And I find that, for somebody who had absolutely no name recognition whatsoever, astounding.
Yep.
And so as of right now, if I were to go on the website, I'm getting about 40 to 50 hits a day.
Nice.
Okay.
So I would like to see 400 to 500 hits a day.
Right.
And I would like to see those people actually,
So I guess moving into this potential coming election season after this one, is there a seat that you're eyeing?
well, besides Angus King.
Well, so it's 2024, right?
2024, Angus
Okay.
King comes up.
Yep.
He's on deck.
Right, because that was the seat that Eric he lost a couple elections
Yeah,
ago
right.
So is
when
that
he was running for.
that's the only one though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because we
okay,
just
all right, yeah.
well,
we
I-
just
I
reelected
wasn't-
Susan Collins.
I thought for some reason, but then I was thinking
For
I was
the
like,
Senate anyway.
No,
Yeah,
that's
so
not right.
U.S. Senate gets
So,
every
yeah,
6
okay.
years.
Right.
So, yeah, it would
and there's
be-
only two.
okay.
and
Yeah, and we only have 2, so we're very small. And it's only 2 no matter what.
Right.
Because I really don't even know if anybody's eyeing the seat.
Not normally.
Because this is one thing that I've argued with people for a long time, and this is one reason why I haven't jumped off the Susan Collins team is because there's no successor. We really don't have anybody to take it.
The
And-
difficult part is
Is getting that backing.
well, yeah, but Angus King is I don't know why, but he's liked by a lot of people.
Because people don't know
Conservatives,
him.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, people associate Angus King with one of our past governors, Jim Lungley. Jim Lungley was an independent. Jim Lungley was a businessman, and Jim Lungley ran one term as a governor and straightened our entire finances out for the state. And of course, the successor just put it right back to where it was.
Which happens all
And
the
Jim's
time.
like, "Oh well,
Yep.
you know, I did what I said I was going to do. I'm not going to do it anymore because I gave my word."
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's awesome.
And of course, we've had other senators, in the running. Of course, Angus King did 2 years as 2 terms as a governor. That's where he gets his name recognition. He gets all his money from a variety of sources: lobbyists, unions, and of course, all the green energy.
All the
people.
dark money coming out.
Yep. I mean, of course, he had those windmills there for offshore.
Yep.
That was a big moneymaker
That
for
was a
him.
big money maker. Of course, he denied all of it for the longest time, but then he decided to sell out of it, so that way he couldn't get tied to it anymore. So he still has all that money.
Yep.
And of course, he took over for Olympia Snow,
Yeah.
and
Who?
Well, a lot of people liked Olympia Snow.
Olympia Snow was a decent
So-
senator. And of course, she saw the writing on the wall with Barack Obama, and she said, "I'm done."
I'm out. Peace.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
gonna-
she was getting older anyway. So
Well, she still had at least one more term in her,
Right.
but she just, she says, and she dropped the ball.
She saw the writing on the wall.
She dropped the ball on the Republicans here in Maine. She got done before we even had anybody to go against.
Well, see,
Angus King.
yeah, and that's what I was bringing up is we don't usually have somebody, because what I would like to see is Susan Collins start grooming a successor.
Well, I would stay away from the word term grooming.
I was just thinking that as I said that.
I mean,
but
because Susan Collins is
Sean said that a couple of times tonight. I'm
mean,
thinking that's a
the-
bad
the-
choice of words.
yeah,
it really is.
I mean, should the GOP have somebody waiting in the wings to slide in? Probably.
Right.
But there again, the GOP is looking for a particular person as a candidate. They definitely don't want somebody who is a true conservative, somebody who believes that the Constitution should be
malleable. how I feel
basically,
nowadays.
they don't want somebody who's going to stick to the Constitution as the guideline that it should be.
They want a more
Right.
federalist
Yep.
Republican, I think.
I've heard the GOP is a mess. The main GOP. From people
It's
in
hard.
the main GOP.
I've heard both sides of the story, so it's really hard to say. I mean, I'm going to lean more towards the hectic side of what's going on.
fact
but-
that you're
well,
so
they're
hesitant
getting-
to answers.
Of course, the ranked choice issue was the GOP's primary issue
Right.
2 years ago.
Well,
that's
because
all
of
they
Bruce
cared.
Pollock win. That's all they cared about.
Yep.
Yep, they don't. They just,
And he still mentions losing to this
yep,
day.
he does.
Every time he's on the radio,
Of course,
which is why I will never
he
vote
went.
for him.
Yeah, he went to and he attended the Somerset County Lincoln's Day dinner, which my wife and I attended last month, and he's personable. Don't get me wrong; he's a very personable, and of course, he happened after he got done doing his little speech, he came and sat down at our table, and it's like, I'm Bruce. Hey, my name's Leigh Hawes, and he goes, hey, how you doing? And it's like, you may remember me. He gives me this look, and I was like, I ran against you as a write-in in 2014. And all of a sudden, the light bulb kicked on. He goes, you're Leigh Hawes. It's like, yes, I am. And of course, he gave me the pleasure to meet you. It's like, and I'm also running for U.S. Senate in 2024. He's like, thank God.
Yeah. Well,
So basically, knowing that somebody is right here, right now, a Republican, 2022, trying to get my name out there for 2024, whether or not the main GOP will like me.
Prove or not.
Yeah, I've had people who are somewhat tight with Governor LePage and have basically told LePage about me 2 years ago, and kind of gave me the pseudo thumbs up at that point in time. Whether or not that's current, I don't know, because I haven't talked to this person for quite a while. So
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, campaigns change quickly. I
Yep.
mean, that's the thing with politics is it's really amazing how fast the tides can turn.
it's a gambit. I mean,
Yeah.
and my positions haven't changed, in nearly 10 years.
and then let's get into a little bit of those.
Right.
I mean,
your positions.
Okay.
Let's I know Social Security is a little bit of something.
Well,
that
my parents are in that age group. My mother-in-law's in that age group. I know a lot of people in that age group, and they just, if it weren't for my father's retirement on top of the Social Security, they couldn't make it. I mean, the house would have to be sold. They'd probably be living in assisted living housing and so on and so forth. And that's just wrong.
Right.
I mean,
Well, that's one thing I liked about what LePage was doing, trying to help
Yeah,
the elderly stay in their homes.
I mean,
that was a real.
that's great as far as the state level, but Social Security is a federal issue.
No, I know. I'm just
And,
talking off the
yep.
top of my head.
I mean, and Social Security needs to be reevaluated at the federal level.
Absolutely.
You know,
Well, because they keep talking about like it could run out of money.
But
It's insolvent.
right.
it's not insolvent. It's because the way they've taken a lot of the Social Security money that we earn,
Yeah.
and put it in the general fund.
Right. It's like IOUs.
It's all leveraged.
Yeah, I mean, it's just if they ran Social Security the way it was designed back in the day, I mean, it would be a multi-billion-dollar account because how many people have died over the course of time that never even drew a single dollar out of that account, and the money's still there.
Right.
Or
should be there.
It should be there.
It's IOUs there now instead.
And the thing is, when it comes to the Social Security, there's two different types of Social Security. You've got the normal Social Security, SSI, that we all have taken out of our paycheck.
And then
you have the
SSDI.
DI, the disability, which almost anybody can apply for, whether they put any money in or not.
Right.
And of course, the SSDI can give you $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, depending on what your disability is.
Is it really that high?
It can be.
It can be
Wow.
depending on what you have for a disability.
Yep, there are some disabilities that can get you $5,000 a month. So
That's ridiculous.
Because, like, let's say you need wheelchair services, that'll play a factor into what
if
you're
you're
paid
a
for.
quadriplegic, so you have
Right.
absolutely no function whatsoever.
You have to pay for that.
You got
out-of-pocket
all
costs.
those services that need to come in. You got the the nursing and all of those, that all gets paid out of S. You may not get that money as a direct check.
Well, right.
But all the services that paid for
Combined,
it,
right.
combined, you can get quite a bit of money out of the government. And of course with all the other government programs that they're spending money on, which is absolutely it's insane.
And that's the thing. It doesn't seem like there's any leveling before they add something. Like there's no, we have 10 things, let's add 11. Well, shouldn't we not add anything until we get it to 8 maybe?
But they don't.
So we've had Republicans and Democrats, and we have a big spending problem. So what's your solution as a Republican to that?
Cut spending big time. I'm not just talking a little bit here, a little bit there.
So are you just paying lip service to it?
No, I am
Because
not paying lip service.
Republicans.
I know Republicans. I don't pay lip service. I want to take a look at the budget line by line item. So when the DEA comes to and say we want $4 billion, why do you want $4 billion? Well, we have this position here. It's $150,000 a year. What's he do? He sits on his ass.
Right.
You're done. No, you don't need those new AR-15s to sit in the trunk of your car, not to be pulled out for any reason. You don't need these new computers. You don't need all this stuff. The government's supposed to be run on a shoestring budget. That was the intent when we first started.
Everything is supposed to be at the state level.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the government, we're not supposed to have a Department of Education. We're not supposed to have 36 law enforcement agencies at the federal level. Pretty much every agency has its own law enforcement. Social Security Administration has its own law enforcement.
Yep.
Why do they have law enforcement?
If I remember correctly, I think I heard the post office has a SWAT team.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
They have several SWAT teams.
Wow.
Yeah.
In fact, every post office has an armory inside it.
I've read a few things about that.
And it's not just a couple of handguns. I mean, these are full, military grade. If something happens at the post office, they've got the firepower to repel pretty much a small invasion.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yep. I mean, it's all on the government dole.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, I mean, that needs to be, of course, the post office is a failing institution. We all know this.
Of course.
And Donald Trump tried to fix it, but well.
Well, I mean,
I don't know the best way to fix it.
I don't even know.
There is no real way.
I mean, the post office is in the Constitution.
Yep,
so
it is. So we have to keep it, or we amend the Constitution to remove it.
So do you think it should be amend it and take it private, or?
Oh, we already got a dozen private mailing industries.
That's
right.
Or just get rid of it altogether.
It just probably should be, because
we are getting into the digital.
So technically, what's in the Constitution is the ability to
regulate the post
right,
office.
regulate,
Yep.
not the mechanism to force a post office. So
Right.
technically, we don't even have to have a post office.
Okay.
But if we do, it has to be regulated by the federal government.
Yep. So we can.
Either at this point we have to regulate it at the federal level and try to make it work the best that we can, which I think
Well,
I don't think's happening. But
the regulations can apply to FedEx, UPS.
well, right.
Those regulations can apply to any mail carrier, delivery package, doesn't matter. So as far as the U.S. Postal Service, it really doesn't need to be there because the regulations apply to all companies that do that.
Right. There just has to be in the Constitution. There's just one
Right.
one regulation that's set as the monopoly of the actual mail.
Well, there again, when you're talking 1787, that's the only way to get mail. It was a handwritten
Well,
letter.
I mean, at one point in time, you could mail your kid through the mail.
Well, yeah, that was yeah.
So there's that. But so yeah, moving into I know another big area that you like to focus on is veterans and the VA.
Yes.
Let's start with veterans as a whole.
Well, veterans as a whole, I mean, these men and women, they signed on the dotted line to put their lives on the line at a moment's notice. They will do what is asked of them, whether it's morally right or wrong. I mean, these people said yes. If the government says we go, we go.
Yep.
So, and morals take no play in this whatsoever. So a person's moral compass is taken completely out of their
Well, I
equation.
mean, when you go into the military, they say you're owned by the military once you sign on that act.
I mean,
so.
you're government issue.
Yeah.
You're a
Yeah.
GI, you're a government issue.
I mean, that's why we ran into what we ran into, and when I got to bounce out of Maine, but like with what happened down when Katrina hit, when they started taking weapons.
Yep. Because there again, the military moved in. We don't feel safe with all these people because they might shoot us. Who came up with that? I mean, almost everybody that I saw on the news was like, you're in the military, you're wearing an Army uniform. I'm not going to shoot you. You're there for my protection. But I want this.
Yeah, and talking to the military people that were put into this predicament, a lot of them, it tore at them. Like, that's
no.
I mean, they swear an oath to the Constitution, and then they're put into a predicament where they're supposed to violate it. That's a hard thing.
And that's one of the things when it comes to the active duty military. My position as a U.S. Senator would be, no, you will not violate your constitutional oath. No commander. I'm sorry, but if I hear about a commander telling his troops to violate that oath to the Constitution, that commander is coming in front of me, and I am going to make mincemeat out of him. So that's things that I think, like we've been talking about, senators that need to grow spines and stand up. That's one of the advantages that I would have because I don't have a bunch of people, millionaires donating to my donating to my campaign and saying we want you to do this. Even if that was happening, it's like I will do what I do. I have no qualms of telling you to take your money and take it somewhere else. I'm not here to make millionaires happy. I'm here to support and serve the people of the United States of America and the people of Maine. So when it comes to veterans are being in the shaft medically, emotionally. It's just,
Trump fixed a little bit of it.
He fixed a little bit by allowing veterans to go outside of the VA medical system.
Yeah,
that was a big deal.
That was a big deal. Did Biden move back on that? Do we know?
He talked about it, but he hasn't moved back.
Okay, I was going to say, I remember hearing something about it. So good thing that's still the
No,
way
it's not high on the list yet.
Right.
If he gets another term, he'll turn that back to making everybody go back because his big thing is still going to be the single payer healthcare system, which is the VA just for everybody in the nation.
Okay. So let's move into the VA with the veterans, VA Maine. What's some things you'd like to see there happen or?
Well, I've got a very unique experience with the VA. My wife is an Iraqi vet. She was hurt over in Iraq in the 2004 bomb blast that took out 2 of our own, plus 26 others that was in that mess tent. So when she came back, she had a myriad of issues. Now, granted, she doesn't really have any true physical disabilities that one can see. If you take a look at her, you think, oh yeah, she's fine. Nobody needs, she doesn't need any help, but it's there.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I mean PTSD is.
That's one of her issues, but she also has what they call thoracic outlet syndrome.
Yep.
I
was just going to start getting into that too.
She's got pinched nerves in her neck and shoulders.
The physical stuff you can't see.
The stuff you can't see. She never, nothing drew blood on her. So even though she was injured, they don't care. And so, when she processed through Fort Drum, and of course the people at Fort Drum says, oh, well, we can deal with your medical issues, but you'll never see home for a year.
Now, I remember you guys, I remember a story about you reached out to, was it, which senator did you reach out to?
First,
It was
we
two-
did
both of them.
We did
It
both of
was
them.
both of them.
We went, of course, we were having issues. We were, monetarily, we were kind of strapped. She's out of the military now because she can't work. I'm only doing weekend security because of when she was over there. That's the only thing I could do. I had to have my parents and her parent watch the kids.
Right.
So I would work during the weekends, and while she was gone, when she came back, that never changed. And so we were to the point where the house was going to be gone. They're going to, they're trying to foreclose on us. So we reached out first to Susan Collins.
Okay.
And Susan Collins had the gall to say, "You do not live in my district. I
Wow.
can't help you."
Her district is all of Maine.
Exactly. That's the whole
Senators don't have districts like the U.S. House does.
point. Right. But she actually, we went to the Bangor office, and her aide said, "You do not live in our district. We can't help you."
Wow.
So once we get that letter, I called a friend of mine whose sister-in-law worked for Olympia Snow because she was still in office at that time. And we told her the issue, and she goes, "I want to see you." So we went to Augusta, to Olympia Snow's office. We explained everything to her, how, because the VA was dragging their butt on the disability and so on and so forth. Olympia Snow's called the VA. It's like, "What's going on with the soldier?" And they're going, "What?" And so, and within 3 weeks, she got a letter stating what she got for disability, how much she was going to get back for back pay, for her, her
Wow,
VA
good.
disability.
That's awesome.
Good.
So yeah, from the time we took it, we went for 2.5 years
That's crazy.
going back and forth with the VA.
There's no need for that.
No. You served your country. There should be no question.
Well, and that's the thing too. I mean, look at how many veterans are homeless.
Yeah.
And
Well, okay, and that's another point because you have your VA disability, okay, and if you're a veteran, you know what that is. But if you're a combat veteran, there is a special disability
Right.
that goes on top of that. Now that was initiated by George Sr. back.
So what's the difference? Are you a combat disability if you...
if you're injured during in combat,
if you're over in Iraq or
right, if
something,
you're in
and
Iraq,
get
Afghanistan,
shrapnel or something.
something happens to you and you're disabled, then you get the special dispensation,
Okay.
because you were injured.
Right,
And
you
that-
were injured in combat,
Yeah.
so you get combat disability.
So, unlike, say, somebody that was just injured in a training accident,
Mhm.
they just get regular disability. So there's a special dispensation that's supposed to be for combat only.
Okay.
And a slight error when typing the law up for the Military Defense Authorization Act,
Yep.
there was a typo.
okay.
And it took me 6 months of researching this for this typo. And it was just they changed one word in the law, which said you can, it was supposed to be both. The way the president said, you got this ability, and for those people who are injured in combat, we're going to give you this much money.
Mhm.
So it had almost doubled, what a veteran
was that the thing that there was an issue because of a comma?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a
and,
it was
and
a-
it ended up costing like billions and billions of dollars. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
because of a comma.
Yep.
When they should have used the word or.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they had it to be both as opposed to one or the
Right.
other?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it was supposed to be. So basically, a veteran who was combat injured, because of they can't get back into society.
Right.
So a lot of your homeless veterans are combat veterans.
Mhm.
They're
Disabled,
they're
yeah.
combat disabled, PTSD and whatnot. This would have given them the extra money so they could have had the care that they needed
For that housing.
for the special housing.
Instead of having to pay for it out of pocket.
Right, and of course, if you only get $3,000 to $4,000 a month out of the VA disability, and this combat related, it's called combat related specialty compensation,
Wow.
CRSC, and of course there's another one which was CRDP, and I can't remember what that
Sure.
acronym stands for, but that
Google
was
can tell us later.
Yep. So basically, that was for the non-combat. And combat veterans could go for one or the other. One is federal, one is more state-orientated, one is tax-free, the other one has income taxes taken out of it.
Okay. So
yeah,
so there's pros and cons.
Yeah, how you ever, of course, the
Second
military, especially the military who are trying to assist you as you're processing out, they don't know how to process you out. They just want you to sign on the dotted line. You're out of their hair, and the VA will handle it. So when it comes, like with my wife's, with all her PTSD, her tinnitus, vision, and everything else, and granted, VA takes care of 100% of her medical, but if they're not going to do it right the first time, what are they doing?
Right.
Yep.
I mean, they've had her for since she came home in 2005. Here it is, 2022, and she's been on at least 30 different medication for migraines.
Wow. So that kind of brings up another question. Have you ever done any research on psychedelic mushrooms for the treatment of PTSD? They have it in Colorado. I think it's legalized now in a couple other municipalities. There's been a lot of research lately about it because
I kind of question the research validity, because when it comes to like a lot of government research programs, there's a dollar value stuck to it. Are they really doing the research? Because
it's not the government doing the research.
No, this is all
like
private.
Yeah, this is private.
I haven't heard about the private. I've heard about the government studies using.
I wouldn't trust government.
No, that's one of my big things.
I can't.
Right.
I don't trust the government more than I can throw it. And
it's like
I don't throw very far.
When it comes to the state, legalizing.
Try picking it up.
I know a lot of people like using medical marijuana because they need it, and I really condone that if the medical purpose has a valid state to it. People with certain types of cancers, and they're in pain all the time. But as of recent, the medical marijuana has become recreational marijuana.
Right.
And what do the people do with recreational marijuana? They get high and they don't care about anything. I mean, but I've had a lot of experience. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there are some people that function perfectly fine.
Right.
But there are a bunch of other people, once they get high, they just want to veg.
I'd push back because we have something similar with alcohol.
Right. Actually, I'm not, and I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any recreational drugs whatsoever. Never have, never will. I mean, people look at me as like, you're lying to me.
Test.
Right.
Do whatever you want. Like I said, my hair is pretty short, but when I did have long hair, I mean, I have never done anything like that. And of course, I had a wife who was an avid pot smoker. She couldn't go a couple of days without having it. And of course, when she started smoking, I'd leave the house.
Right.
I don't want nothing to do with it.
I know people on both sides. I know a lot of people that use it. I'm a libertarian, so of course I'm going to know a lot of people that. So I know a lot of people that use it. I don't use it. Sometimes when they use it, some people, not the most useful, but others, it's the most productive they could be.
Yeah, I mean, because I
like I said, it's like alcohol.
One of my good friends, growing up in high school, he would not talk to anybody, and he was so introvert, it wasn't even funny. But as soon as he smoked, it was like a switch going off.
Yeah.
I mean, he was.
He's a chatterbox.
Yeah. Well, not really a chatterbox, but he became a functional member of society.
Right.
It just made him relax to the point where he could actually
Probably
do
took
things.
the stress he had away.
Yeah,
the anxiety.
The anxiety, stress of it.
And that's fine.
That's one of the things that it's it can be used for is helping with anxiety.
Fine. And of course, I'm pro cannabis, and I'm pro for industrial hemp.
Right.
I think especially for Maine.
So you're on the medical side.
I'm on the medical side of it.
Not so much the recreational.
No, the medical side, I'm fine with it. I mean, if they were to actually make a cannabis patch, I'd be great for that.
Okay.
For people that have various issues, here, have a patch.
Well, and there's been a huge discussion of the difference between medical and recreational.
Well, right.
So,
it's definitely because of like the percentage of THC and stuff.
Right. And also looking at the finance side of the money that comes in from the bigger companies with the pushback for, recreational, how it could end up hurting medical. Some medical people feel in the medical cannabis industry. So, it's good to. I'm glad to hear that you're pro medical. So.
Yep. I mean, that I've seen many people that have issues, and it helps them, and that's great.
And this is another thing too that I know a lot of veterans that I don't know if this is true now, but I know at one point, say they were at the VA and they were getting medication and they were smoking marijuana, they could end up losing their medication. Yep. I don't know if that's still true now.
Well, it's federal, so it probably is definitely still true.
Yeah, that's one of the questions they ask a lot of veterans come in. It's like, do you use recreational drugs? And if get tested, they could lose their VA.
That's why I'd like to see cannabis removed from the Scheduled Substance Act.
Yep.
Right. I'm with
Well,
you on
that
that
and the
one.
constitutionality of being able to own a firearm. But those two reasons mostly.
So I mean, and I don't have an issue unless you're proving yourself unsafe for whatever reason, especially when
Right. Then that's personal responsibility at that point. No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't really say that's the drug issue. I would say that that's just your
Individual.
inability to be responsible,
Yep.
which is no different than if you're like
Moderation.
if you're an avid
yeah.
drunk and you go drive a car and wreck it,
Right.
Drink responsibly.
Yep.
So yeah,
Oh,
it's all
or
moderation.
use responsibly.
Right.
Either way.
It's still No, I hear you.
But yeah,
so
but the Veterans Administration really needs a major cleaning.
Yeah, it needs like an overhaul of some
Yeah,
sort.
the complete overhaul. I mean, you got so many administrators, and they take out so much money out of the VA administration. There's hardly anything for actual medical procedures.
Right.
well, I know there was some VA hospitals that were being mismanaged.
Well, yeah, that was back during Obama's
Yeah,
times.
so
Right?
And
bad.
actually, there still are.
Yeah,
I mean,
I wouldn't doubt it.
our own CDC administrator came from a VA hospital in Illinois, and look what happened there.
Yeah.
16 members of the VA military members died from Legionnaire's disease.
Yeah, and I guess I heard that he didn't even tell the family members that they were, he had them or something.
About that, yeah.
I mean, he completely dropped the ball, but yet we were going to hire him to manage our CDC and our COVID response.
And actually, here our VA is actually pretty good here.
Mhm.
My dad goes to there.
And it yeah, and that's
It's all right. I mean, they had their issues, like I said, when it came to us.
They all do, but
When they come, especially in the female veterans, a lot of people don't give the female veterans their due justice. A lot of people look at they still look at female veterans as you were support. You didn't really experience anything. You were in the right echelon.
are they allowing females on the front line now?
Oh yes.
I was gonna say I thought they were.
We got we got female rangers. We actually had a buddy of mine who is an airborne ranger, retired, gave me a post 2 years ago of the first female who graduated airborne ranger school without any special consideration. She went through the whole thing.
They didn't lower any
standards
She
whatsoever.
was a
That's
beast,
awesome.
man.
Oh,
She-
yeah.
she put in the work.
She had.
Do you know who that is?
I don't know her name off the
forget her name,
don't
but I remember there was a documentary going around.
Yeah,
on it.
I mean, her biceps are as big as my calf.
Yeah.
Wow,
So-
that's awesome. Good for her.
So I mean,
But,
she could
that's
pretty much.
impressive.
I would.
I wanna
Keep
say-
up with the boys.
I want to say
Alright.
Disney or not Disney. Discovery Channel was. I want to say it was either Discovery or I think it was Discovery that did it.
I think it was TLC actually.
Was it?
I think it was the Learning Channel did a thing on her where
It
she
might have been.
It's kind of
I
funny.
know
the
it was one
Learning
of. It
Channel
was
isn't
one.
really learning anymore.
No.
It was an older one.
Yep.
But it was an older documentary. But,
I mean, we've had female combat pilots here for about 15 to 20 years. It was the first Iraqi war, Desert Storm that brought the pilot into the limelight. They're just as good as anybody, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, absolutely.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Okay, somebody decided to Google it for me.
I knew that was coming.
That's funny.
Christine Griest and Captain Shay Haver were the first women to graduate Ranger School. 5 years later, are still in the Army, assigned to units in D.C.
That's
Awesome.
impressive.
That is.
So, thank you.
So time's winding down. Let's get to more of his.
Okay. So yeah,
We
we
have a time limit? What the?
Well, no. We technically we don't. We always just for the guests.
Yeah.
We always try to keep it an hour 10.
But so yeah, let's
We can
move
be
in.
long-winded. So.
Yeah.
I can be, yes.
You can
One
too.
one other big area that we have right now that U.S. senators would fall under would be border security.
We definitely need to secure all borders, not just the southern border. Granted, the southern border is porous, but our northern border is not as secure as people would like to think. Canada is supposed to be a friend, but think about that. 9/11 happened.
Right. Yeah, because they
came-
snuck through
Yeah,
over the
they
border.
came through.
They came. They just drove right through. No one paid them any mind. It's like, yeah, we're
Well,
here.
I know there's been times like when we were up north, like snowmobiling in the winter, we just
Yeah,
drove right over.
Drove right. I mean, because nobody really cares. I mean, I've been across the border. I've been across the border more times than I can count. Even as a truck driver, when I really wasn't supposed to be.
Mhm.
I was taking a load up to one of the WalMarts here in Presque Isle, and I was in, on one side of the state, and the shortest way my GPS told me was to cut through Canada.
Wow.
And the border patrol, they just come on in. I showed them.
How long ago was that?
That was one of the last runs I had for Walmart, so probably 4 years ago.
Okay.
And
That's-
they just let me
that's
roll.
crazy,
And of course, my dispatcher, of course, he can scan where I'm at.
Oh yeah, GPS baby.
He calls me up and goes, "Where are you?" It's like, "I'm heading to Prescott." He goes, "But where are you?" I'm on Royal Route 3. He goes, you're in Canada. I was like, yeah, I can go through Canada. We don't go into Canada. Well, why not? It's
The
shorter.
shortest route.
It is. I mean,
I would imagine there's probably some more.
I got all kinds of ribbon for that, especially when I got back to Lewiston.
I would imagine there's probably some licensing.
Well,
stuff
I am
to
fully
have.
certified, and Walmart's fully certified.
Right.
Okay.
It just wasn't not done because they just, especially when it comes to food and stuff.
Right.
I mean, they could have taken that truck, taken me into the inspection, and just tore me apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then all that food could have spoiled.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why.
And then
just
they
did-
would have, then Walmart would have been held liable.
Well, I would have been held liable for doing it. It would have
Right.
been on me because I'm the driver. It's not Walmart. Walmart is the customer.
Oh, so you were like a subcontractor?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah, the company I work for now subcontracted to haul for Walmart.
I see.
So yeah, I mean, so border security is a big thing,
Yep.
and you're very firm on border security.
Extreme. I mean, if you're going to come into this country, you're going to come in the right way. We have several ports of authority to come across into this country. You're going to have a reason to be here. Just because you want a better life doesn't mean you need to come to America. You can have a better life where you're from.
So you're thinking like a merit system?
I'm not sure about a merit system. I don't mind anybody coming into the country, whether if they want to be here, let them be here.
Right.
But they got to prove they don't need the government to sustain them.
Well, see, like I know, like Australia, even to visit, you have to prove that you're able to support yourself while you're on vacation.
Right.
And if you can't, they send you home.
Yeah, you're not going to come. You're not going to come in because we're not going to sit there and pay pay for your room and board and food and transportation. No, we're not going to do it. And why we do it for untold thousands of people, just because they don't like where they're living right now because they're an impoverished nation. We weren't always rich. We were impoverished, when we first started, and we just built ourselves up
Using capitalism.
using capitalism
The
and that's
free
where,
market.
Capitalism has been the best.
It's been the most
Form.
successful. It's been the
Yeah.
most
It's not a
successful.
perfect system,
No,
but
it's
it's
never-
the best system.
There is no perfect system.
No,
Correct.
You're right.
And that's where people need to get out of their head. There is no perfect system. You don't come to this country to sit there and look, I want to have a Maserati, I want to have a nice house. If you want those things, work for
Work
it.
ethic.
Work for it. Nobody's going to give it to you. It's like one of the, going back to Glenn Beck, and a few other radio shows I listen to, you got two aspects. You got equal opportunity or equal outcome.
Right.
This country is based on equal opportunity.
Right. Different outcome.
And different, everybody's got different outcome.
Right.
You can take, you and I could have the exact same job, exact same time. May not be more successful than I am.
Yep.
Because of, how you use your opportunity.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Take advantage of what you can when
Yep.
you can. I know you are a very big First and Second Amendment supporter.
Absolutely. I mean,
Let's talk a little bit about the Second Amendment here
Well,
in the state of Maine. I know there's been a lot of
Remember, he's running for federal office.
right. That's why I was going to bring up red flag laws.
red flag. I mean, that is a cop out as far as I'm concerned. If you don't have the evidence to show that a person is an actual threat,
Right. You need due process.
yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Due process is a cornerstone.
You're innocent until proven guilty in our court
Right.
system.
Yep.
Definitely.
I mean, so okay, so there's a law. If someone, like, say someone is listening to this podcast finds me a threat to their livelihood.
I'm sure that's probably done that at one point in
Yeah,
time.
probably, several times.
Especially after the last one.
I missed a lot, anyways, but just because you think I'm a threat doesn't mean you should be able to call the police and turn me in. And
Correct.
and I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. Unless you have an actual warrant for my arrest that I actually committed a crime, you're not coming into my house. You're not taking anything that I currently own.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
And it's not going to happen.
That's my kind of language.
I know. We're speaking about warrants. Exitive circumstances is a big
You
one.
mean exigent circumstances?
Thank you. I'm horrible with the names, but that's a big one in the news right now.
but-
What do you think about that?
Our justice system was designed to work for everybody, regardless of what was going on in their lives. And so the exigent circumstances means absolutely what? Really, I mean, this is a catch-all.
Right.
Right.
Because it does. It gives them. I mean,
it gives them authority that they would normally could not get.
yes.
So just to describe it to the people that are listening in case they don't know what it is. Say, for instance, Bob is running from a cop, and then Bob runs into some business that he shouldn't be there. If the cop sees inside the business that there's illegal activity, the cop can then focus on that building that he saw the activity for, and use exigent circumstances to then, arrest people.
Yep.
Or say they show up to a place because there's a noise disturbance, and they show up and there's no one around, and they see a door open,
Right.
and then they go over by a vehicle and see an oxygen bottle in it. They can use that to go make sure there is nobody on the floor inside of the home.
That's well, as far as the exigent circumstances for as a criminal prosecution, medical. When it comes to doing a what we call, because I used to be law enforcement, we used to do safety checks.
Yeah.
Especially for
Welfare
older people.
checks.
Doing
Welfare
something
checks.
like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, then that's a little bit different cause.
Yeah.
But it's like if you were to go in, say like the noise ordinance, the noise complaint, and as the officer's walking by, he sees someone, putting
Well,
the
so
joint.
see, that's say they're there for a noise disturbance, and then they see an oxygen bottle inside a vehicle or in the yard, and they use that to make sure there's no one inside the house that's hurt. They're there for a noise complaint, not.
Yeah, but at
see what
that
I mean?
point, they can justify
That- I know,
that
but that's-
probable cause.
That's the issue.
Right.
That's
Well, the way I take the circumstance is they go there for one thing. They
It ends up
suspect criminal activity to a certain other degree, but there really is no evidence of that criminal activity in plain sight.
Right.
And they use
And that's
that,
the problem.
and that's that's the circumstance that they're using to get their authority to basically search the premises, search the vehicle. I mean, I see it all the time on the highway. You got somebody going down the road. They broke the speed limit by
Right.
3 or 4 miles an
Yeah,
hour.
they
They
get
have
pulled
out-of-state
over.
plates. They fit the demographic of supposed people bringing drugs up to the state. They may not be. I mean, I see it all the time on the highway.
Profiling.
They profile.
profiling. Yep.
Yeah.
And there's
It
a
happens.
cer-
I know they say they don't, but they do.
Yeah, they do.
And
It does happen.
Okay, I'm on my way to Massachusetts today, and I saw 4 vehicles pulled off the side of the road, and persons, that I'm not going to sit there and get into the details of it, but they're handcuffed, sitting on the guardrail, and the cop was going through their car, and they had out-of-state plates on it. Now, whether or not they were actually doing something that warranted that kind of search and seizure, I don't know.
Or that, they probably didn't give him, the
Appropriate
ability,
answer.
right, the appropriate response to, to search that vehicle and authorization, or maybe there's a dog, or,
Yep.
there's 1,000 different things.
So much.
Over militarization.
I agree with you on that one.
Over military. Yeah. There's a big one.
So one other thing I want to get into talking a little bit about before we wind this down. You have seen what has happened with inflation here in the state of Maine
Oh, absolutely.
from a truck driver's perspective in the industry. Let us in on a little bit of what's going on right now.
Well, of course, when Joe Biden was elected president, I'll use that term loosely, of course, he undid everything that was making our economy strong. He shut down the pipeline. He shut down domestic drilling. That, in turn, cut down the amount of oil that we had to produce in this country, which that, in turn, is driving all fuel prices up, including mine. I am doing, even though I'm a company driver, I don't technically pay for the fuel. I still see how much is on that pump.
Right.
So if I was paying for this fuel, I'd be paying, what was on average probably $600 or $700 a week in fuel.
Probably over 1,000 now.
I'm close to 2,000.
Whew. Wow.
I'm doing almost $800 a fuel.
Now, have you noticed the companies trying to equal this out in any way?
Well, I mean, prices are definitely going up.
What are hours becoming issues? Because I guess what I'm getting at is I've heard that freight has been sitting.
Yes. I mean, because we go by, when you go from Maine to New Hampshire, you got a little yard right there just underneath the bridge. If you're sitting up high enough, you can see down into it.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And, of course, it's a Boise Cascade yard for building materials. And
it's the big bridge, right?
yeah, the big
right
bridge.
on. Yeah,
right
I
on-
got you. Yep,
and
I got you.
back, last year, almost all of last year, up until early part of this year, there was at least 50 trailers sitting there locked with materials on them.
Wow.
There was at least 6 freight cars for rail with those great big long engineered I-beams that people use for building construction of homes
Okay.
sitting there, not going anywhere.
Interesting.
And
Just instructions not to move.
yeah, just sit there.
Why?
And of course,
That's the question.
that is a big question. And why? Because for one, the corporate companies want to get more money out of this. They paid for that at a low dollar value back beforehand.
Sure.
So now, because of the inflation and the way the economy is going up, they know that they can get more money if it sits there long enough.
Right.
Okay.
And people,
Right, because they could inflate their costs.
of course they can, but they got to justify it.
Yeah.
You just can't. I mean, you go looking at your local gas station. You see how the prices fluctuate up and down constantly.
Mm-hmm.
But this is why I pointed out what is the cost of the prices going up, and this is how they.
There's a lot. There's so many variables.
Yeah, there's so many. This is one of the variables they use to try to pick up that lost money.
Oh, they count it as a loss, but it's not really a loss.
No,
Right.
no.
And they're justifying it to get the most money out of it.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. Is
And
it's
that-
to
and, you know,
maximize the
I mean,
profit.
it's a, well, it is capitalism to a point. It's crony capitalism.
Right.
So they know they can get big money,
Mhm.
and they're going to sit on it. The longer they can sit on it, the more money they can probably make. Because sitting it's not costing them anything.
No.
It doesn't cost them to sit there. It doesn't. You heard those stories about the shipping. They're over in California, just sitting there, off the coast. Now, unfortunately, that was costing them.
Yeah, because
You're still burning fuel.
they couldn't bring anything in.
No, it's like, of course, all the workers can't work, and everybody's doing this and that.
Right, they're just sitting there.
Yeah, just twiddling their thumbs.
So there's all that lost revenue, all the pay that they had to pay out
Right. I mean,
for the
and
employees
that
to sit there.
that just kind of drove home a point from Donald Trump. We need to bring manufacturing back here in the United States.
Now, are loads going up for drivers, or are loads going down?
My loads, as far as what I haul, has been pretty consistent.
Okay.
As far as seeing, I hate to say it this way because when COVID first hit, I was loving it as far as the traffic was concerned.
Well, right, because nobody's
Nobody's on the road.
Right.
And it's just me and a bunch of my truck driving brothers and sisters.
Yep.
So we can get to where we need to get. We're in, we're out. This is great.
Yeah.
And of course, nowadays everybody's like, "Oh no, COVID's no big
Now
deal."
everyone's on the road
Everyone's
because
on
they
back-
went
now-
2 years without being on the road.
Yeah, that was even when they, especially Massachusetts, when Massachusetts finally opened the valve, they didn't start squeaking it. No, they just said, "Okay, everybody can go." Yep. And of course, getting off the interstate to the road I need to get to, I was sitting there for 30 minutes or more, just waiting for the traffic.
I see it all the time. I was just down in, I stayed this weekend down in Saco, and it's like the interstate southbound is like backed up. I'm like, that's crazy.
And once Memorial Day hits, it's going to be even worse.
Well, right, Memorial Day on to all the Labor Day.
Yep.
That's
So,
that's Maine. It's
Yeah,
busy tourist season.
And that's what we need. We do need the tourism, but we also need an industry.
Yeah.
Right.
So we need to get our costs down. We need to get our energy different. We need other sources than what
Right.
we've got.
So-
One thing that I've been talking about is the federal leases that need to be opened back up to bidding to companies.
Yep.
I know the current administration doesn't have any plans, it looks like, to accomplish this.
Because it doesn't benefit them.
Right.
That's right.
They have the green energy side.
Yeah, they want to go green by
They want to go.
2030.
They want to go the green energy. They want to go with protected, wildlife, even though it doesn't really need protection because we do a very good job of managing our wildlife.
Right.
Here in this state, we do. I believe so.
We are one of the best ones.
Right.
Yes.
Because I used to be an inland fisheries and wildlife hunter safety instructor, so I had access to those numbers every year, and so we always did a very good job managing our.
Is that number for just Maine though?
But I can get national numbers if I needed them, because we do all states put their numbers into a database, and so when we had our annual meeting for all our hunter safety instructors, they would sit there and tell us everything.
Because I think that's what really matters because we don't really have any drilling in Maine, so
Right.
it's not.
Well,
really,
we had a little bit of offshore that could have been done.
yeah.
But
Well, the biggest thing we have here in Maine is we have a couple of copper mines.
Dude, I didn't know. That.
Yeah,
No
well,
doubt.
they started, but then, of course, environmentalists got a hold of it. And
Well, I mean, Janet Mills wants to start launching spaceships from Maine.
that's not going to happen because
So-
we're not in the position to launch spaceships.
I don't think so either. But
I mean, Cape Canaveral is
are these pipe dreams that they're
pretty much.
trying to just get money for, or what? I mean, I
Probably
don't know.
federal
That's what
funds
I'm
somewhere.
thinking.
I mean, that's why, like I said before, back jumping back and it's like we need like the hemp industry, industrial hemp, because hemp can be made into so many things.
Right,
Concrete,
so, yeah, this-
paper, everything.
This brings
Fuels.
us into energy independence.
I mean,
Sure.
so it's energy independence, it's industry, it could help the people in Maine so much. It could actually, give us even a population boom because people are going to come to us to work.
Right.
Yes.
Because
there's a lot of property to grow it.
Oh God, yes.
So many fields.
Well, let's just you go because I used to go up to Easton, as far as a truck driver. Of course, Easton's all potato country.
Yep.
But now a lot of those potato fields are just sitting dormant.
Yep.
So, and of course, now we have the industry of building these great big greenhouses like Backyard Farms in Madison. So now we can grow year round, totally controlled environment.
Yep.
And everything. I mean, we could have a full year round growing season for everything.
Wow.
If we just want to, if somebody could come up with the kind of money that it takes to build these, facilities.
I think Johnny Seeds is doing a little bit of that too.
They're trying. But there again, Johnny Seeds gives their seeds to
Right,
Backyard
I was
Farms
gonna
for the
say,
tomatoes.
They
Yeah,
got
the
like
pe-
farm adopted. Are they adopted farms? Is that how they do it?
I'm not sure.
I'm not 100% sure how they
I don't
do
know how
it,
that
but
adoption works.
I know that they use farms around the area.
Oh,
to grow.
Because Backyard, if you've ever been to the facility in Madison, it's huge. I mean, it's like 7 or 8 football fields.
Really? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That is huge.
That is big.
Yeah, if you
it
Google
out
Map
sometime.
it sometime and
Yeah.
I have to check
look
it out.
at, do a satellite Google Earth look at it. It's huge.
That's
It's just on the outside of Madison, and they use Johnny Selective Seeds for their beefsteak tomatoes, and these things are.
Yeah, they are huge.
You can buy those seeds from them, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
From-
Yep.
You can grow your own.
I might have to do that because
It'd be worth it, I think.
I
Man.
really want to start getting it growing some stuff. I think food sovereignty laws are going to be important.
Yeah. How do you feel about food sovereignty laws?
Well, everybody should have the right to grow their own food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just-
Or okay, so to
grow,
me,
raise,
sell.
or procure, however you want to see fit. I mean, there should be no, as long as your food is safe.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
so-
that's
But
a
then
generic.
who says what's safe?
Well, I
Right.
mean, there should be
what I'm saying.
Even the food sold at the grocery stores aren't necessarily
True.
safe.
Not
No, yeah, you got a
necessarily.
point.
If they're
That's
packaged.
that's a really good point.
I mean, of course, I'm not sure how accurate it is. I was reading the internet about, a lot of our, cows and pigs are being sent to China for processing and been coming back.
I've been reading a little bit of that.
and I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
So I'd like to see laws. Well, Maine, it's already that way, I believe, with food sovereignty laws.
Yeah,
you can now
we're moving in the right
You
direction.
can sell if I grow vegetables, I can sell in commerce to Joe Schmo, and he can pay me. Before recently, that was a law that you couldn't do that. But
I was like, when it comes to energy, we got the solar.
yeah, I have solar on my house. Actually,
Well, it's
works great.
Great. I mean, I am all for personal setups on solar.
Right, yeah.
I am not for these massive solar farms.
Okay.
Big,
That's how I kind of feel. I now that I've looked into it more, that's how I'm starting to feel. Is the massive solar farms? I don't think are the great.
So I don't know
good
about
idea.
I don't know about the massive ones, but like in Oakland where I live, we have like right at
I
our dump
kind of-
station, we have like a line of like 6 or 7
So, okay, I guess
deep and like maybe
how-
10 or 12.
How do you feel about like the ones that they're building up at Kobe?
I don't know who's paying for them. I don't know where the money's
I don't-
going.
Yeah, I don't know this.
As long as it's not tied, as long as these contracts aren't somehow tied to my taxes, I don't care.
well, they're tied to your energy bill for one.
But how?
Well, we know
It's through the dereregulation, I believe.
Well, I know it's through net metering.
Yeah,
right.
Because I've talked to I've talked to representatives locally about this, and I'm still waiting. I'll have to message her later. I'm still waiting for her to show me on the net metering bill that was passed in 2019, I think, how like the breakdown of how that impacts my actual, because I have net metering because I have solar. So how my bill and my solar
I think
makes everybody else's bill somehow more expensive.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure
I'm
on
not
how
100%
this. How
sure
this.
either.
I just know that
I know they're buying it at a group rate type thing, and that makes it a
I'm
little bit
not
cheaper.
even. My concern really isn't that. It's the feasibility of
Okay.
it all. It's the feasibility of having these, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 panel
Yeah.
farms, because now you got to do a conversion. And of course, when they were talking about bringing the corridor in, their philosophy was completely messed up. And I called out several people on social media about it because they're telling me that the energy coming in across this power line was going to be DC. That's impossible.
Yeah, that
We
wasn't
do-
going to be DC.
No, and
it's
they're-
AC.
It's AC. So now think about this. All of our lines are 480 volt
Yep.
AC power. So a 12 volt DC panel needs to be bumped up So you got to start paralleling all those DC panels.
Yeah.
And putting them in a series parallel circuit. And if you're not into electronics or electrical, I don't have time to go into that.
Right.
But so now you're at 20 panels just to get to that 480 volts.
Yep.
So how many groups of 20 do these farms have? Panels are supposedly 300 watts each. That's the best they can get.
Mm-hmm.
But Maine does not have the sun to develop 300 watts per panel. The Maine has the sun to develop 110 watts per panel.
Really?
Oh, yes.
I didn't know that.
And I know that varies, too, depending if there's snow on them.
Right.
So,
Well, snow,
you're probably going to limit it grossly to
and
zero
I mean, if you
almost.
look at what happened at the Blaine house, I mean, that thing was covered for
Well, I mean, there's a map
quite a while.
from the U.S. Geological Survey when it comes to putting solar, and Maine is actually at a 12% efficiency rating for solar.
12. Well,
12.
and I get that because it's snow.
Overcast snow. We
Right.
don't have the sun for a true group solar system like that.
Right.
So now you got all this Revision Energy and all these other guys doing these great big massive farms saying we're going to add all this power to your grid, but then look at the grid. Look at these panels. Look at 300 watts per panel. Actually, it's 100 watts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and they're only giving out 100.
Yeah.
Are they going off that 300
That's what
number?
that's what the number they're selling you at.
Okay,
That's the
I
number
see what you're saying now.
And only giving you 100. So now all that power has to be put through an inverter. Okay,
I got
so
you
you got to go from DC to AC through an inverter.
You lose some there too.
You're gonna some loss, at least 10% loss on that, and there's no storage.
Right.
So it only generates power during the daytime. There's no power generation at night. You're gonna have heat loss in the inverter.
Storage with batteries wouldn't really work for that kind of environment anyway. If you're trying to,
And that's why I don't feel that these solar farms are good for Maine,
Right.
even though they're popping up everywhere. Any place,
Yeah.
I mean,
like any place where there's like a flat land, it
Yep.
feels like where they can't really do anything with it.
right. I mean, of course, a lot of these places were, like in Route 201 between Waterville and Skowhegan, a number of fields where used to be hay fields.
They're popping up.
Yeah, and now they're
Hinckley's got a few up that way
Yep.
now too.
There's
so.
like 2 or 3 in Hinckley now. The hay fields are gone, so
Yep.
farmers don't have hay for their cows and horses because these solar panels are in there. And of course,
I'm sure they. I don't think
I'm
they
sure
sell
they're
the
making
land. I was gonna
bank
say
somehow
they're
on
they're
either
probably
leases or
yeah,
well, that's just it. The
property
farmers,
rights.
are getting money,
Right.
but those people that own the land,
Mm-hmm.
granted, compared to what they were selling the hay for,
Right.
Right.
but we still need hay. Where's it going to come
yeah,
from?
I see.
Right.
I see what you're saying because the farmers that are still in it that were
Right.
buying the hay, where
I mean,
do they go?
there's a different way of doing this. I mean, they could have gone to each and every person house and say, look, you got a good location for your house. We'll put 20 panels on your roof.
Yeah.
Well, here's a contract. We're going to give you 15% off your power bill.
Yep.
And we'll take the rest of the energy that those panels produce, and we'll make a money off on it. I would have been fine with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a win-win for the homeowner and for the solar company.
Yeah.
Versus taking up over the fields. But I'm technically pro-nuclear anyways.
I'm nuclear.
You're talking
I'm-
like the
I'm-
new nuclear fission, right?
I'm talking nuclear power in general.
Right. Right.
Basically.
It's been so much. It's been a lot more efficient than it used to be.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, if you really study, because I studied nuclear, power from the time I was in early high school, and the beginning of it, if they just kept going with that instead of actually working to getting nuclear weapons, this country would be 100% nuclear.
Yeah.
Because we developed the sodium reactor. The molten salt reactor was first developed in 1950, and just sat there. No one's done anything with it, not until the last 10 years.
It's a shame.
So now we're looking with new molten salt reactors, liquid fluoride being a new medium, which is even higher, using thorium, which is not as potent as a fuel, but still works in a molten salt reactor.
Okay.
The hard part is everyone thinks of nuclear as,
Bad.
nuclear reactors. You can have bad
Well, see,
accidents
that's-
that have
that's-
long-term lasting negative effects.
The difference is we're talking new technology nuclear. We're
Yeah,
not. We're
right.
not talking 1950s.
No, I'm talking
nuclear
fourth
technology.
generation.
We're not talking about like
Right,
Homer Simpson at the nuclear
Right.
plant.
No.
Taking home the little fuel rod in his back pocket.
I was like, there's GE just came out with a new thing that they started out. It's called a micro nuclear reactor.
Okay.
It is the whole thing is portable.
Okay.
It fits in a 53-foot box trailer,
Oh, wow.
completely sealed. It uses a high fissionable uranium fuel pellet and can generate up to 5 megawatts of power plus heat.
Wow.
So, you can. This was developed shortly after Katrina.
Okay.
So that's when they started the idea because, Katrina was without power
Right.
forever.
Right.
So they figured, the GE comes up with this idea. Say, hey, look, we'll develop this little portable nuclear power plant,
So we can
drop it into an area, plug it in. You guys can have power for a year.
The hard
While
part
you
is
build
don't we have a cap at the state level that says we can't?
100 megawatts. But
That's
that's
our
only for
cap.
hydropower.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I think. Okay, maybe that's what it was.
Now, because that's Angus King had that law passed to make room for solar and wind on his energy grid.
Of course.
So he capped all hydro plants to 100 megawatts. Now, here's the deal on that. Because they're talking about that energy corridor, bringing energy into the country. Because they're making that mega dam up in Canada.
Yep.
Talking about everybody's so worried about our carbon footprint. The off gassing during the concrete curing is putting out 10 times more carbon than what we are currently doing.
Wow, I know that.
Well,
I've also been looking at a few types of dams that they don't necessarily have to dam like across the entire way. They can run a channel like off the right side of a river, and it works like in a vortex.
Yep. Well, that's
and it's
just
all done by gravity.
and basically
It's kind of interesting.
But there again, we have
It's more turbine, but
we have a number of dams in the state. Okay.
a lot of them, yeah. A lot of Augusta was torn out.
Well,
we
that,
still have a few though.
we have Kennebec River. We have 6 dams on the Kennebec River. Okay. Got Harris Station up at the headwaters, and of course Harris Station is what the whitewater raptors love because it controls the flow. You got Wyman Station.
Yep.
Got Solon Station. Got Skowhegan Station. Then we got Shawmut Station.
Comment.
I think that's the last one because
Waterville
got torn out, and I think Augusta still has.
Did they?
I think they got a control.
Well, don't we have some over here at Hathaway? I thought we had a. I thought we were making a little bit over here at Hathaway.
I think that was the Edwards Dam that got torn out.
No, that was Augusta. Are you talking over in Winslow?
Over in the Waterville-Winslow Dam. It got torn
but
out.
I believe there's 1 or 2 turbines in Hathaway's.
But
I don't know
but
where
either
it
way, you can think about this. The dam was built. All these dams were built in the
Yes.
1920s and 1930s.
And they have the capability of giving us the power we need.
If
That's what's crazy.
that's what I've been saying to everybody is against hydropower here in the state. These dams are running 1920 to 1930 generation generators.
Okay.
They've never been updated. They've never had a new generator put in. So, case in point, Wyman, which is right in my backyard. I grew up looking at Wyman all my life.
Mm-hmm.
And my
I know
parents,
what they could do with just the updates.
yeah. I mean, well, the only thing they updated is the switchgear.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying.
But I mean, Wyman has 3 25 megawatt generators that have been there since 1929.
yeah, they're just gonna re-outfit them. And
And GE, in the same physical space that GE is making these new ones down in Virginia, that will quadruple the output.
Really? So why do we do that?
That's the only $1 million question right there.
yeah.
That is the $1 million question. Now, granted, they say that people, of course, the governor had that study done back when he was in office about updating all of our hydro stations here in the state. Of course, he hired an out-of-state environmental company to do the study, which was a big mistake. And, of course, their answer was to tear out the dams completely and rebuild them completely. Makes no sense. There's nothing wrong with the structure of our dams.
Really?
It's just, and like Wyman and Harris and Solon and Skowhegan, I mean, they open up the roof part way and they can pull that whole entire unit, turbine, spindle, the whole night, that can be pulled right out with a crane.
So does that have anything to do with the fact that they're trying to shut down some of the stuff because of the fish?
Yep.
Yeah. And
Because I remember that there was this whole big thing with Sappy.
Yeah, it ended up only being like the equivalency of like 4 fish.
Yeah, the Shawmut Dam, because
Yeah.
certain fish couldn't get upstream.
Right, they couldn't go upstream, and even with like a ladder that they tried building, I guess it didn't.
They didn't want to.
retrofit.
I mean, fish, they're going to do what they're going to do. You can't make, it's not like you can sit there and ring a bell and have the fish come up. They're not
Dinner
trainable.
time.
Right.
They're not trainable. I mean, if everybody's worried about the Atlantic salmon, of course, we destroyed their natural habitats. They found new ones over time.
Right. Well, that's what evolution is in
Yeah,
theory.
that's exactly.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, some of them did come back, but it wasn't anything like they claimed.
I mean, they just
So,
didn't.
it definitely, I don't think it was worth the cost of tearing them out.
But is that maybe why they're not doing it this way? Because they want to, at the end of the day, tear out the dams.
Yes,
Because everything that we're doing is all set by a lot of times federal, but also state government, and of course, our government's run by Democrats right now. So,
And they want to return. They want to return the world to the condition before man became
Right.
a nuisance.
environmentalists control lobbyists.
Yep.
That's fine. So I'm assuming that they're doing X because of the lobbyist industry.
Yep. I mean, it's an environmental lobby because they want to get rid of the dams
Right.
and want to return all the rivers back to their natural state.
But is there like because everything that I think of has to be like a return on investment, like a risk reward algorithm based on like a dollar figure.
That's what you and I would think about. They don't think like that.
Okay.
They don't care about the cost.
Okay. So there's no like dollar figure, like, because if we can return the salmon back to their original numbers, we can then sell it so that we can make.
Because there's no way to get the salmon to return. I mean, you'd have to sit there and basically restock. You do a fish stock.
It. Yeah.
You have to, take all the baby fish, take them upstream, let them spawn from that point, and they're going to start their natural evolution again.
Right.
But then you're already interfering in natural evolution.
Right.
So,
which I think it sounds like they're probably okay with partially, as long as the end goal is
the ends justify the means.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
The ends justify the means.
But we definitely
we went over time.
Yeah, we definitely ran down some topics. But let's where can people find you?
Well, like I said, my website is www.leighhawes.com.
Okay.
My contact information, I'm not going to put my phone out there because I don't need ringing off the hook.
No.
But my email is lmhawes@gmail.com. Anybody can send there any question if anybody has an issue.
And your email address is accessible from your website?
Yes.
Okay. And
and then our Facebook profile has your link to our Facebook page.
There's two. If you look me up, there's two Facebooks. One has my picture on it, which you guys saw, and of course the other one, like I said, is my video game guy.
and the one that we link to is the one that is his U.S. Senate page.
Yep, I get to that on of course that one's maintained at my mainframe computer, not my laptop. So when I get downstairs and get to the mainframe, that way I can get onto all the websites. But usually when I get home after a long day's drive, it's get into the easy chair, click on the TV.
I get that.
So,
but definitely thank you for coming on All Sides of Kennebec. This is Leigh Hawes.
I loved it, and if you guys had me back, I'd be more than happy to share some more.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of history, just to relive part of like how things started and stuff. So
I've always been
you have a lot.
I've always been a history buff, science history, things that I felt was more important.
I'm a STEM guy, so
yeah, I like history too. I've been posting a little bit up on the page.
Science,
with history.
Technology is my job, so my
my
industry is IT.
Going through high school, I was a very stubborn child, and when it came to what the high school thought was important, the liberal arts and the English, I could care less.
Yeah, me too. I'm the same way.
Same.
I'm still the same way.
The only way I actually graduated, I hate to say this, the only reason I graduated high school was the high school debate, because we used to do debates. They were actually part of our high school.
I think that should go back to that. way.
Yes.
I think that would be a good idea.
And if it weren't for the high school debate and it was on nuclear power, I probably would have failed 12th grade English.
If only we could see that on YouTube.
I know.
Well, there was no such thing as a video camera in my high school back then.
That's very true.
I am that old. So,
well, all right, I'm Sean Karen.
And this is Jeremy Lee's.
Thank you for checking out All Sides of Kennebec. We also want to thank A Shared Studio for making this podcast possible. Until next time, remember, a true patriot questions everything.
Have fun.